and a dusty but vibrant garage tucked behind a small-town gas station. 12-year-old Ava Thomas stood on a small wooden crate, her tiny hands stained with engine grease, her brow furrowed with determination as she adjusted the final bolt on a gleaming Shelby Cobra V8 engine. The garage was packed with skeptical onlookers, some mechanics, locals, even reporters, drawn by the ridiculous-sounding rumor that the young girl was about to fire up a classic car engine she built herself. Among them stood Mr. Crane, a well-known millionaire car collector with a reputation for crushing young hopefuls with sarcasm. He leaned casually against his custom cane, a smug grin playing on his face. "Let's see if this little girl can even get it to crank," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. A few of the veteran mechanics chuckled in agreement. Ava didn't flinch. She double-checked every connection, her mind working through her mental checklist of fuel flow, timing, spark gaps, and oil pressure. She gave a slight nod to her dad, who watched nervously from the corner. Then she reached for the key. The room went silent. With one confident twist, the engine sputtered and then roared to life, loud and powerful, vibrating the entire garage. It wasn't just running, it was perfect. Clean ignition, no knocking, and a smooth, thunderous purr that sent chills down the spines of even the most experienced gearheads in the room. The silence returned, but this time it was stunned. Jaws dropped. Tools clattered to the floor. One mechanic whispered, "No way, a broken bar." Ava stepped down from the crate, wiped her hands on a rag, and simply said, "Well, that's how you bring a Cobra back to life." The garage had fallen into a stunned hush, broken only by the steady, powerful thrum of the Shelby Cobra engine. Mr. Crane's personal chief engineer, Victor Dorsey, a man with 30 years under his belt building custom engines for millionaires and race teams, stepped forward slowly, like he was approaching something sacred. He knelt beside the engine bay, eyes narrowing as he traced the wiring, fuel lines, and exhaust configuration. "No way this was done by a kid," he muttered under his breath. Ava, still holding her notepad with grease-smudged fingers, politely held it out to him. "All the tuning specs are in here," she said. Dorsey took the notepad with skepticism, flipping through it absent-mindedly until he stopped. Then he turned a page back, and another. His fingers froze. His expression shifted from arrogance to disbelief. The pages were filled with hand-drawn diagrams of fuel injection modifications, air intake flow analysis, and handwritten formulas calculating torque ratios and thermal loads. They weren't copied, they were original. "You reverse-engineered a 1967 manifold mod in your head?" he asked, stunned. Ava nodded. "I didn't like how it choked at high RPMs during simulation, so I reshaped the airflow dynamics. I used cardboard to prototype it first." Another mechanic leaned in, mouth open. "She reshaped the damn airflow path using cardboard?" Victor Dorsey glanced back at Mr. Crane, his pride clearly shaken. "Sir, this isn't a fluke. This girl knows what she's doing. I've seen MIT grads who couldn't balance this system manually." The other mechanics gathered around, now not as skeptics but as students. They poked their heads into the engine bay, asking Ava questions, pointing to specific parts. She answered each one clearly, confidently, but never arrogantly. To her, this was just what made sense. One of the older mechanics looked at her and said, "Kid, you don't have talent, you've got mastery." The $1 million garage, once filled with laughter and doubt, was now completely quiet except for the sound of an engine, and the rise of a legend. Later that day, after the crowd had dispersed and the engine had cooled, a sleek black limousine pulled up outside the garage. Its tinted windows gleamed in the afternoon sun. The door opened, and out stepped Mr. Crane, his tone far more serious than it had been hours earlier. "Ava," he said, motioning to her father, "may I have a word with you both privately?" They entered the limo, where the leather seats and polished wood trim gave off an air of power and wealth. Mr. Crane didn't waste time with pleasantries. "I've built teams of engineers, paid the best in Europe and Japan, and I've never seen anyone do what you just did today," he said, locking eyes with a young girl. "I want you on my innovation team in Los Angeles. I'll cover your schooling, pay you triple what junior engineers get. Name your price." Ava looked at her dad, who raised his eyebrows but said nothing. She turned back to Mr. Crane, her voice steady. "I'm 12. she said calmly. "I don't need a job. I need opportunity." Crane blinked, surprised. "I'll make a deal with you," Ava continued. "You want me on your team someday? Then help me build something right here. A proper workshop, not just for me but for other girls like me. Girls who want to build but don't have tools, don't have space, don't have belief." There was a long silence inside the limo. Mr. Crane looked thoughtful, then smiled slowly. "A STEM garage for gifted kids, with my name on the donation plaque." Ava grinned. "Only if it's at the bottom." He laughed. "Deal. But I still want first rights to your first real blueprint." Ava's eyes sparkled with determination. "If it doesn't scare your team, it's not ready." Mr. Crane leaned back in his seat, chuckling with genuine admiration. He'd come to mock a child, but now he was making deals with the future legend. By the next morning, Ava's garage was no longer just a small-town secret. A video clip, shaky and recorded on someone's phone, had made its way to social media. It captured the moment Ava turned the key, and the Shelby Cobra engine roared to life. But it wasn't just the sound that went viral. It was the look on the millionaire's face, and the calm, focused expression of the 12-year-old girl behind the miracle. By noon, hashtags like #CobraKid, #GirlMechanicGenius, and #Ranch Queen were trending worldwide. News outlets reached out, car magazines begged for interviews, engineering blogs from Germany, Japan, and the US published analyses of her engine mods using screenshots from the video. One article read, "This 12-year-old just changed the way we look at engines forever." Even the Top Gear Twitter account reposted the clip, captioned, "We'd hire her." Immediately, amid all this chaos, Ava stayed grounded. While her inbox filled with messages from MIT, Stanford, and Tokyo Institute of Technology, she spent the afternoon in her same old garage, at this time not working alone. 3 neighborhood girls sat around her as she guided them in disassembling a lawnmower engine, explaining the difference between torque and horsepower using a hand-drawn diagram. Her father smiled from the doorway, watching his daughter become something bigger than anyone had imagined. A national TV crew finally managed to catch her for an interview a few days later. Sitting cross-legged on a stool with grease on her jeans, Ava answered their last question with quiet confidence. "How did you learn to do all this, Ava?" She smiled. "My mom told me not to be afraid of noise, wires, or boys with toolkits, so I wasn't." The segment ended with a shot of her new workshop under construction next door, sponsored by Mr. Crane himself, and a sign outside that read, "Future Builder's Garage, powered by curiosity." Ava didn't just build an engine. She ignited a movement,